Well, good morning. It's Thursday, and it's got to be about May 5th, and I am in Vik, Iceland this morning. Uh, came, arrived yesterday morning, and spent the day getting things organized. Got my vehicle and did some driving, took some pictures. Um, It's been a good trip so far. I had gone about 30 some hours without sleep, so by the time I got to the end of the day yesterday, it it was getting to be kind of long, and so I slept pretty good. It was chilly last night. We had upper 30s, and pretty much like my van here that I'm sleeping in. One of the problems is that the mat that they have in here to sleep on is only about a quarter of an inch thick on top of plywood, so that's a little little tough on the hips, but we made her through, and I was tired enough, so I slept pretty good through the night. Got to see a lot of waterfalls yesterday. The ocean, very windy day yesterday. I have not seen wind like that, I don't know, ever. Was standing about a quarter of a mile from one waterfall. I was getting sprayed as the wind was bringing the spray that far. Also really sunny. After having thought that the long-term forecast was for rain every day I was going to be here, it was sunny yesterday and it was sunny today. Looks like today will be the last day. Sometime during the night we've got some weather moving in, and it's going to get windy again and also be raining, so weather's going to change here. Was hoping for some northern lights last night, but they weren't out, or at least if they were so dim with near full moon that they didn't show up at all. Did get some great shots this morning in the early morning light. The sun came up over the ocean here, and the sky was pink, but no clouds for drama in the sky, so didn't do any of that kind of stuff. But there's some really unique stuff here at Vik, and so I spent my time this morning walking to Black Sand Beach and doing some climbing in the hills and shooting down towards the ocean and the town, and that was fun. So plan on heading a little further east today. We'll see what that brings us. We'll be along the ocean and along the southern edge of what turns out to be Europe's largest glacier. I don't know how much of that I'm going to be able to see. I've seen a couple of smaller ones these last 2 days, but we'll see what we find over there. I may spend a night in that area, or if it looks like I know there's part of it was the road has been closed for a few days, and they're not sure whether it's open yet or not, but we'll see if we can get through there or not. But we'll see what we find over there, and whether it's worth sticking around a day for shooting over there, or head back this way at least part of the distance and then head into the interior for a ways. Those are the options that I have that I'm thinking about at this point. A few observations to begin with here. Had 2 days that really weren't conducive to shooting photography here, landscape photography here. Windy and sunny makes it really tough. So sure enjoying the nice weather, and I'm going to not complain about it, but hoping to get a little more mood into what's happening here as the days go on and we have a little inclement weather. Iceland itself is very unique. It's got a lot of geological structure that is really, really pretty and different. Was kind of disappointed when you look at the stuff ahead of time. Iceland has a population of about 300,000, and about 2/3 of that, about 200,000, live in the capital of Reykjavik. And you kind of get the indication that the rest of the country is really sparsely populated, but coming along the south shore here from Reykjavik to Vik, there's people all along the way. A lot of farmland, and by farmland I mean grazing land. I don't see any crops that are being raised here, but there are a lot of farms with sheep and horses and I saw a few here in the last few miles with some cattle on it, but that's kind of the exception rather than the norm. Mostly sheep and horses. The van that I have is fine. It's a straight stick, and it's taken me a little while to get used to the standard shift again. I haven't driven one of those for quite a while. The accommodations are fine. There's plenty of room. The kitchen that they set up is rudimentary, but it has everything that you need. A couple of the disappointments that I do have, however, and one I mentioned with that thin pad on the sleeping pad, and the other is that because of what they have in the back, you don't have any mirror or vision out the straight back of the vehicle. So whenever I'm backing up, I have to rely on the side mirrors, and that's a little frustrating sometimes. I don't like to back up when I can't see a whole lot of what's going on. So that's been a little bit of a problem. Other than that, I'm really looking forward to the next 3 or 4 days here now that I've got some sleep. I've kind of got everything settled. I've got my van arranged. I've got photography gear out and ready. So I think we'll get down to some down and dirty work here over the next few days. So hope to have a little more of this vlog as time goes on here. I'll try to take a little time each day and talk a little bit, and we'll continue through around the country of Iceland. Just a little tour around my vehicle up here. kitchen, a refrigerator. Stove is in that black box. And the sleeping area goes with your feet underneath the platform there. A lot like our little guy. Lots of different camper companies up here, and they all have their symbols and stuff all over, their logos. There's one next door from Happy Campers. That's another one up here. This is the smallest unit that this company rents out. Here's the sleeping area. One complaint I have is that this is only about 1/4 of an inch thick, so that isn't very soft, but well, it is what it is. For those that have ever camped with me, you know what this is my tent looks like. I got all my gear over on one side, kind of in a shambles, and sleeping area over here. I don't know how you could fit 2 people in here with all my gear, so good thing it was just me this time. Really stark. I'm up by Gulf Haas. We'll go there this morning right away to begin with. Well, it's Sunday the 8th, and yes, that means that it's my birthday today, and I turned 65 in Iceland. So, getting past the halfway point of the trip here now. I've got rest of today and tomorrow, and then I'll be headed back to the States on Tuesday. So, it's been a good trip. There's some things that were a little different than what I thought they'd be, but for the most part, I got to see almost everything that I wanted to see, plus some things that I didn't expect. People have been nice. The weather has been pretty much as I expected. We had 2 really nice days, and now the last 3 days have been a mix of rain and sun and whatever, but it's chilly. It doesn't get really cold. I think we had about 38 one night for a low. Other than that, it's been in the low 40s, but it goes from a low of 42 to a high of 45, so it's right in that range every day. A few observations. The roads are generally, the ones that I've been on, are good, except that they're very narrow with no shoulders, which makes it kind of tough to take pictures exactly when you want to see them. There's a lot of things that I've seen that, boy, that would make a great shot, but there's been no place to get off of the road so that I could get out and take a shot. So you end up playing a game where you're not only looking for opportunities, but you're also looking for places where you can pull off. And there'll be a few times where I've had the two that have come together unexpectedly, and I've had to turn around and come back and make it happen, but that's okay. I've had plenty of time, and that worked out fine. The country is very different from one part to another in some ways, and yet very much the same. They call this the land of fire and ice, and that really fits because anywhere you go from the east part to the central part to the west part, there are both glaciers, but there's also thermal activity. No volcanoes that have been erupting when I've been here, but I've certainly seen hot springs and geysers and lots of lava fields, some from relatively recently, where there's no, not even grass growing where the lava field is, to those that are, I'm sure, several centuries old. They grow moss and lichens and some small shrubs, and even with just that, a few inches high, those are probably several centuries old. So been real interesting, very interesting. I'm in the fjord country today, and again, that changes some of the stuff, but in a lot of ways you go down the road and all of a sudden here's this steam rising from an area where there's a hot spring, and all of a sudden here's an old lava flow coming down the side of a mountain. So that's really pretty neat. Land of fire and ice. Not much for trees. Weren't supposed to be. Any trees that are here have been planted. Did spend some time a couple of nights ago with some people at a pub where they were watching Iceland play a soccer game, and the one guy I was talking to was kind of the official forester for the country of Iceland. He manages the largest forest that we have here. That ends up being about 10 acres in size, but it's made up entirely of Sitka spruce. They brought the spruce from Alaska and planted it here, and it did really well. So he manages that forest, and he says that's the biggest one in all of Iceland at 10 acres. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. Let's see. The vehicle has treated me well. Got to get me through another day and a half, and we'll be good with that. I don't know. I guess that's pretty much it. I'm been able to get cell phone reception over almost the entire time that I've been here, and so I've been able to communicate with home and send some pictures back from my iPhone. I haven't done any processing off of my cameras yet, but we'll get to that when I get home. So little by little, we're making this go. It's been a great trip, but I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to be home.